Today, I'm going to be talking about two teams who are in such a similar predicament that it's really hard to tell what are they thinking going into this following season. And those teams are, as you saw with that title and thumbnail, the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. And those two teams have such a unique circumstances. If you guys are unaware, throughout this playoff run, we had two major injuries happen to two superstar caliber players, in Jayson Tatum and Tyrese Haliburton, who both tore their Achilles last playoffs. And Haliburton tore it at the very last game of the NBA season in Game 7 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So what are these two teams expected to do in this upcoming season? I'm here to break it down for you guys. I'm going to be starting with the Boston Celtics, a team when this offseason have been sellers. They've been selling away their team, which you all knew was going to come. Because after the 2024 playoff run and the championship run, we knew that the second apron was creeping on this team fast. And the core of Jrue Holiday, Derrick White, Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis wasn't going to last much more than the 2025 season. And that's exactly what happened. Almost instantly, the second the season ended, Boston started selling. They traded away Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trail Blazers for Antfernee Simmons and proceeded to trade away Kristaps Porzingis for, I repeat, Georges Niang. They traded Porzingis, a 7'2" stretch center, for Georges Niang. I refuse to believe that Porzingis' trade value was that low, no matter all the injuries. But I think the underlying thing here wasn't the injury history, it's the illness that he had going throughout the whole second half of the season that basically went undiagnosed throughout the entire time. He missed a good majority of the second half of the season because of the sickness. Even in the playoffs, he looked not himself. He couldn't stay on the floor that long without being tired, and he looked out of it. And to this day, I haven't seen anything about it being a diagnosed sickness. We don't know if he's fully healthy or not, but I really have my doubts that Porzingis' trade value was that much in the dirt that the only thing the Celtics can get for him was Georges Niang. Nonetheless, the Boston Celtics sold. They gave Antfernee Simmons and they got Georges Niang. The Boston Celtics flipped Georges Niang and 2 second-round picks for a rookie in Utah named R.J. Lewis Jr. Who knows his upside or not? But then again, they just flipped them for a young player, which is fine. But the question is, what are the Boston Celtics expectations going into the season? And I'm gonna tell you this, I don't know. Because yes, they still have Jaylen Brown and Derrick White, but the rest of the team is just shit. They don't have an actual center. They have Nemanja Bjelica running their center position because if you guys don't know, Luke Kornet went to the Spurs, Kristaps Porzingis was traded to the Hawks, and Al Horford is still a free agent and most likely is not going to re-sign with the Boston Celtics. So right now they have one center on the roster, that's Nemanja Bjelica. And Nemanja Bjelica isn't a starting caliber center in this league. Maybe he might take a jump this season. We don't know. But based on history, Nemanja Bjelica isn't a starting caliber center. So basically, their team is consisted of Antfernee Simmons, Derrick White, and Jaylen Brown, and off the bench they still have Peyton Pritchard. The rest of the team has gone to shit. They've lost a lot of players. So in saying so, I believe the Boston Celtics shouldn't be a play-in team. They should tank. They should try to get a top pick. Jayson Tatum should not come back this season, no matter how much he's trying and willing his way to come back this season, which I'll never understand. I don't know why he's trying to rush himself back. I understand that you want to be on the basketball court, but you tore your Achilles in April. So I don't see a point you trying to rush yourself back to come back this season. If you do come back, it'll come back in March with a month left in the season, when you could just wait until October and get those extra 6 months to really get your legs under yourself instead of rushing back to close out the year and potentially costing your team a top pick. Because Tatum is still a superstar caliber player in this league, and you get him coming back, no matter what version of him, is gonna win the Celtics some games. If the Celtics tank, get a top pick, it helps put this team together, knowing damn well that Antfernee Simmons won't be part of this team long term. Derrick White is also getting older, and now you have to push into a direction of putting around an adequate team around Tatum and Brown for when Tatum returns. Instead of trying to rush back, trying to prove to everyone that you still got it, instead of just sitting still, evaluating your assets, and figuring out what to do with this tanking season. Instead of trying to push for a playoff spot, get eliminated the first round, get a pick outside the lottery, And now when Tatum comes back, you have the same team you have now with no valuable assets. Keep the team, tank this year, let Jaylen Brown have an injury, Derrick White gets injured, and just Antfernee Simmons and friends hooping. It's as simple as that. The expectation of this team should not be a play-in team. I believe their floor is 11 to 12 seed. Their ceiling should be a 7 to 9 seed. There shouldn't be a chance where this team ends up as a 6 seed, no matter how bad the Eastern Conference is, because goddamn, the Eastern Conference is terrible this year. So anything is really possible, but they should still try their best to lose as many games. And it doesn't matter how many Jaylen Brown injuries happen, even though Jaylen Brown might end up having an all NBA season. He's the only one on that team that can consistently put the ball in the basket. Derrick White might even take a scoring jump this year, because someone has to score in this team. There has to be multiple scorers, and Derrick White might take a jump. Payne Pritchard might take a huge jump. Antfernee Simmons and Jaylen Brown, those are essentially the only 4 people on that team that can kind of create their own shot. There's no one else. They have no center play, like I mentioned. Their depth is awful. Their depth was never that good, but losing that many players and getting no serviceable players back in return is a really detriment to the team. Kind of giving up on Kristaps Porzingis for nothing still doesn't make sense. Now moving on to the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Haliburton tore his Achilles at the end of June in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, the biggest moment of his career. It is unfortunate, but what do the Pacers do moving forward? Well, it is clear. They are in the same boat as the Celtics. I believe they should tank, but unlike the Celtics, the Pacers are still a talented team from top to bottom, outside of center play. Losing Miles Turner in the offseason to the Milwaukee Bucks for nothing is a really tough blow, especially when throughout the whole year all we heard is that the Indiana Pacers were willing to go into the luxury tax to re-sign Miles Turner because he's been there for 10 years. He's experienced every era of Indiana Pacers basketball, and it felt like he should be rewarded. He's played with Paul George. He's played with Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis, and Tyrese Haliburton. So he deserved to get his money and re-sign with the team. He's been there for 10 years. And the Pacers were willing to do that. They were willing to go into luxury tax. But unfortunately, Tyrese Haliburton did get hurt, which made the Pacers hesitate and want to go in a different direction. They wanted to not spend money and save as much money as they can for when Tyrese returns in the 2026-2027 NBA season. So instead, the Milwaukee Bucks signed Miles Turner, and now the Pacers are left without a center. As of right now, I don't know what center they have on the roster. But they still have Pascal Siakam, who's an all-star player, who's basically going to be guaranteed an all-star spot this year because the East is ass. The East doesn't have that much competition when it comes to the all-star teams, so Pascal Siakam is going to be an all-star this year. They still have Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Naismith, Brandon Mathurin, TJ McConnell still on this team. Their team is basically the same exact team from last year that made the finals run. Obviously, outside of their star player, Tyrese Haliburton, and Miles Turner's gone. Their depth is still exactly the same. It's just now, where do the Indiana Pacers find themselves? And I'm going to tell you guys this. Buy all the stock as you can in Andrew Nembhard. He is going to have a career year, potentially going to win Most Improved Player. I believe that this Indiana Pacers team ceiling is a lot higher than the Boston Celtics team. The Indiana Pacers should end up being the 6 to 5 seed, as long as anyone's healthy. I believe this team is still talented even without Haliburton. Haliburton was just the icing on the cake that made everything fit perfectly. But Andrew Nembhard playing that full-time starting point guard role might work in their advantage, so that they might shock people and be that 6th seed and guarantee themselves a playoff spot. Siakam is one of the most underrated players in this league. He's been the most consistent player of the last couple of years. The Indiana Pacers' most consistent scorer in Pascal Siakam ever since he got there. And it's only going to get more efficient, and he's going to score just as many points, because then again, the offense should be getting ran through him because he is their star player now. But their floor is just like the Boston Celtics, right outside the play-in. I don't think the Pacers should try to see in that middle ground. Realistically, they should tank, right? Because if you don't have your star player, there's no point making the playoffs. You have no chance of making a deep playoff run without Haliburton. So they should tank. But Rick Carlisle has always came out and said that he doesn't believe in tanking. He doesn't believe in losing games. He believes that you win, you win, you win. The point is to win as many games as possible. But without Haliburton, it's really hard to do that. But they have the mindset that they can still pull it off even without him. And he believes that Bennedict Mathurin is going to take the jump. He's always said that Bennedict Mathurin plays his own game, doesn't really play the same type of style the Pacers play at. The Pacers kind of play that style of swing, 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 drive, kick, drive, kick. But Bennedict Mathurin isn't like that. He's more of a give me the ball, watch out, I'm gonna ISO. He's probably the only ISO scorer on the team. And I feel like this year they could try to implement him more into the offense and have him run his own sets. Experiment. This should be a year of experimenting for the Indiana Pacers. See who fits, who doesn't, who can work on their own, who can work in the system with or without Haliburton. This is the year to figure that out. Which of these role players is here to stay, and which of them are kind of expendable. If you can manage to integrate Nesmith, Mathurin, and Nembhard into this offense effectively, once Haliburton comes back, this team will be scary, especially if they can figure out that center problem, because that is a big hole right now. I believe the only center they have on the roster is Tony Bradley. I'm not sure. I think Thomas Bryant is still a free agent, but it can be a blessing in disguise if done right. And how likely is that either of these two teams are going to tank? Unlikely at all, because they still have this pride and this ego that they can still pull it off. I highly doubt it. I believe in the tank. I believe in trying to get a pick, a high pick. You don't have to draft with it. Trade it away so that you can get more assets and fill the holes of your team to put the best team around your star players. So when Tatum comes back, you're expecting to push for another championship run with him and Brown. And same thing with the Indiana Pacers. When Haliburton comes back, you're expecting him and Siakam. If they could do it once, they can do it again. It's all in the hands of these teams. And I don't believe Joe Mazzulla or Rick Carlisle are willing to give it up. Or willing to give up to embrace the tank, embrace losing. It's either A, very early on into the season, both these teams might start out hot, might start winning games, and they might throw tanking out the window, or vice versa. They might start losing off rip even when they're trying to win, and they might start dwindling down. Brown starts playing less games, Siakam starts playing less games, and all of a sudden they find themselves as a 12, 13 seed when they should have been there from the start. It could have been lower if they embraced the tank. Celtics, Pacers, embrace the tank. And let me know what you guys think about either of these team situation in the comments down below. And as always, guys, go hard on them dudes. Salute.